So this is the first video in the discussion of the novel Chemmeen by. Let me show you the book, and please buy this edition because it is easy to follow. Because when I say page number 62, it will be the same page here. In this edition, it will be the same page. So please buy this book, and I urge all of you to buy the book. Okay, if you have any issues, please let me know. So Chemmeen, remember there are two M's here, and so the novel is called. Please come. The novel is Chemmeen by Thagari Sivashankaran Pillai. Okay, by Thagari Sivashankaran Pillai. T.S. Pillai, and this novel was originally written in Malayalam language. Okay, originally written in Malayalam language, and the setting that you will understand the setting as the novel progresses. But let me just introduce you. The geographical setting is the Arabian Sea. It's a fishing community on the Arabian Sea. Kerala is divided into, just a quick look at the map so that you can understand the context. So this is the southern peninsula. Okay, and roughly this is, sorry if I get the map wrong, roughly this is Kerala. Okay, that is along the western coast. Most of the eastern coast is occupied by this would be Tamil Nadu. Okay, roughly. Come. So Kerala is divided into three major geographical regions. The northern Kerala, which is full of mountains, coastal Kerala, okay, and then the southern Kerala. So we are talking about this region. Let me just shade this region. This region, okay, around what is now Ernakulam, Cochin. Of course, Ernakulam and Cochin are the same place. Central Kerala. Okay, so this is what we are talking about here. So, and this is the geographical setting. The time of the novel, when the action takes place in the post-independence era, that is after this takes place after India's independence, sometime in the 1950s, early 60s, early 1960s. So, I mean, you already know the radio would be the only mode of entertainment. Okay, electricity may not have reached many villages, but we are in Kerala. So Kerala is a very progressive state. So I mean, I don't know the data exactly, so I don't want to say that electricity has not reached and all that. We started doing all these things, electrification, etc., quite early. And we achieved electrification of almost all villages as much as as far as I remember, by 1980s. Almost all the villages in India were electrified. When I was in my 6th standard or 7th standard, I remember 85, 86. So Chemmeen is the name of the novel. It was written in the Malayalam language. It's a wonderful language to listen to. Okay, lot of voiced sounds. You'll have a lot of voice. Now that you know phonetics, lot of voice sounds, but we'll come to that later. There is a wonderful video on the Malayalam language and why it sounds the way it sounds. Okay, I'll send you that video. It's a 25-minute long video, well researched. Okay, and how it got influenced by certain elements of Sanskrit and how it evolved its own sound system and all that. And you will meet the characters here whose pronunciation will be different in Tamil and quite different in Malayalam also. So let us get into the novel. So this is the geographical setting, and this is the time. Okay, the time is 1950s, 1960s Kerala. Okay, post-independence India. So let us begin. So let us start with the sun will set the sea. So this is the west coast. This is the Arabian Sea. Okay. And what will happen is you'll always see the the sunset in the coast. So you'll have sunset points. The sunrise will not be in the sea. Namakku sunrise point. So you go to Kanyakumari. There's a very interesting, there are two places there. In Kanyakumari, there is a sunrise point and a sunset point. And both the sunrise and the sunset happens on the sea. Okay, so and that is where the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea meet. and become the Hind Mahasagar. Okay, here. So Kanyakumari is right here at the meeting place of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. 10 kilometers away, you enter into Kerala. So we are looking at Chemmeen, written by Tagari Shivasakaran Pillai, and it is translated into English by Anita Nair. And this, the cover that you see, is the famous cover, or this is the actress or the actor who acted in the. She is the protagonist. I mean, she is one of the main characters in the novel, and this is taken from that movie. It was made into a movie. It was a very successful movie in Malayalam. We'll be discussing the movie also whenever the context arises. I'll be comparing the novel and the movie and telling you how things progress. So let us look at how it begins. The novel begins on a shore. Okay, the sea is always a constant presence. So we see two characters, a girl and a boy. In fact, adult, one woman and a man, who are childhood friends, talking to each other. The novel begins with this conversation, and let me introduce the characters to you. The girl or the woman is called Karuthamma, and the man is called, so Karuthamma and Parikutti. Okay, I'll rub this. Karuthamma and Parikutti are having a conversation. And as you listen to that conversation, certain things are obvious. I'll tell you what is obvious about that conversation. Certain things, one second. P-A-R, let me get the spelling right. Okay. P-A-R-E-E-E-E. Okay. And they are having a conversation. So it begins in the middle of their conversation. Okay. Parikutti and Karuthamma. Okay. They are having a conversation. And what is happening is, the Karuthamma mentions that her father is always talking about, or one of the main topics that they discuss in the family, and they keep on, it gets repeated, is about her father buying a boat. Okay, so Karuthamma's father wants to buy a boat, and the conversation moves on. And this buying a boat is going to dominate the novel also. Her father, finally, he is able to get the money to buy a boat, but let's see how. Okay. So, and so she jokingly, jovially asks Parikutti if he can give some money to fund this project. It's obvious that they are friends, they are childhood friends, and the conversation is very casual. That is very clear. And also, there is a relationship between them. That the relationship is that Karuthamma keeps on calling Parikutti little boss. The title given to, or she officially or formally calls him little boss. Okay. So it is obvious that there is some form of, in the hierarchy, he is a bit higher than her, than their family. Something like that. Okay. So, in fact, Karuthamma does not call him Parikutti. In fact, the conversation moves, and then he says, why don't you call me by your name, by my name? Why do you keep on calling me little boss? And many of you know, there is no tradition in, or I won't say no tradition, but usually we don't call each other when two people are of the same age, or if they are occupying a formal position, you don't call them by name. So Karuthamma giggles. She feels she's taken aback, and she giggles when she tries to mention his name or try to to repeat his name. She starts laughing. Okay, she laughs. She finds it funny that Parikutti has given the permission to call him Parikutti instead of little boss. And then he says, I'll also call you something. I'll call you Big Mama Fisher Woman. Okay, I will call you Big Mama. I think it would appear better in Malayalam. The joviality of it will come out better in Malayalam. So Big Mama Fisher Woman. Okay. So from here, the conversation becomes very personal and very casual. There is a formal relationship between them because she calls him little boss. There is a childhood friendship also. They are childhood friends. They grew up on the same shore. But then halfway through the conversation, as the conversation becomes more and more casual, Kartama realizes that she should not be talking like this to him. The moment she giggles and she says she finds it funny, she starts repeating his name. But then what happens is she stops. She stops halfway, and then she realizes that the conversation has gone off in some other direction. In the meanwhile, he says, Seri, unga appa boat vaanginarna, if your father buys a boat, will you recommend me, that is, will he give the catch? So any person who has a boat will go into the sea, collect fish, catch fish, come back, and that is called as a catch. This is page number, page number 4. When you have bought your boat and nets, will the big mama fisherwoman tell her father to sell us your catch? Because he is a dealer in, he is a fish seller. He doesn't go around fishing for, he is not a fisherman per se. He deals with only sale of fish. Okay. What happens here is, so there is a, remember, the conversation goes from being casual, from being semi-formal to being casual. Okay. It is a semi-formal conversation to casual. And then it becomes, I'm sorry to say, it becomes very personal. Nothing wrong about that. And what happens is, she starts, of course, there is one point where she believes that she should not have talked. Suddenly, she becomes aware. Kartama becomes aware that, she should not be talking to a man like this, although he is a childhood friend. And she says, no, I have to go home. Okay. Luckily, what happens is, her sister, Panchami, calls her from home. So the beach is there. Imagine this. This is the sea. The beach is here. Having a conversation. Imagine these two people standing here and having a conversation. The fishing community village is here. Okay. So what we are going to see next is, so Kartama's sister, what's her name? Panchami, calls Kartama back home, and they have a policy that nobody should leave the house unattended. That is, the house should be occupied by someone. And since Kartama is the elder sister, Panchami cannot be expected to be there. Panchami is say she is around 10 or 11 years old. Okay. Now the point is this: when Kartama gets this call, she goes home. Okay, and she realizes that she should not have talked to Parikutti like this. Panchami, what she does is, she goes and tells her mother. Her mother's name is Chakki. That we are still in chapter 1, and we are looking at the lives of a fishing village, of a family in a fishing village in 1950s Kerala. It's a beautiful story. There are a lot of things that we can learn from this novel. Please enjoy. Please come back with your questions. The father's name is Chemman. I'll just write this thing, and then I'll tell you how it is pronounced. Okay. So Kartama is the first daughter. So how will you pronounce this? Very good. Very good. Your mother tongue is Malayalam. Okay. Yeah. That again. The N from here, it is all nasalized. After K, it is all nasalized. Chemman Kunye. After U, it is nasalized. After the letter U, it is nasalized. Okay. So it is not pronounced like it is pronounced in Tamil. Please don't do that. That is not the way. And then Chemman Kunye, and then the mother is Chakki. Okay, the mother's name is Chakki, and they have 2 daughters. Okay, Kartama, the elder daughter Kartama. The elder daughter's name is Kartama. You can note this down like this, and Panchami. Okay. Now what happens is, Panchami tells this to her mother that look, Parikutti and so now you are clear. Parikutti is a man. Huh? He's a fish seller. I mean, not a fish seller exactly. He deals with, he sells fish. He doesn't go and catch fish. Okay. So now there are two things about this. Just before we proceed any further, now I want you to think about this, So she comes back, she cuts the conversation, she leaves the conversation halfway through. She goes, Kartama goes home. I'll just write Karu goes home. And when Chakki, her mother, learns that Kartama was speaking with Parikutti, she starts, if she had just confined to advice, don't talk to him, that would have been a simple thing to have, which she could have said. But then she starts telling the legend of the fishing community. Okay, so that is what happens. So when Chakki learns about this, okay, let us come to that part where Chakki learns about this from Panchami. Natural. See, there is no there is no fun in hiding this from Chakki. So Chakki learns about Kartama's conversation with Parikutti. And if you are looking at this edition, I'll tell you exactly which. Okay, page number 6. Kartama had left Panchami at home when she had stepped out. Iva summa ederchiya vella poirka. Yare Kartama vella poitu paathirka, Parikutti had a conversation. So there is nothing, you cannot read too much into that incident. But the problem is, avanga pesa aarambichadukku appuram iva sirichita. And this is what happened. Okay, she suddenly becomes aware of the situation in which she is. She should not be talking to him unnecessarily, and she comes back. She comes back and she is in that thought. She wonders what she should have done. Why she's wondering why she laughed so much. And during that time, Chakki comes in. When she is lost in her thought, Chakki comes in, and immediately Panchami says, Odane Chakki kekranga, page number 6. How could any mother not be perturbed by such news? Remember, we are in 1950s. Even today, mothers will be disturbed if they, learn that their daughter is speaking like this and all that. Okay. So Chakki demanded of Kartama, what is this I hear? And immediately the reaction is actually very adverse. The reaction is a typical mother's reaction. Okay. A typical mother's reaction. All right. And what happens is, she starts giving advice to Kartama. So let us see what advice she gives. This advice is given in the sternest of voices. So it's a casual conversation. It's not a casual conversation. She is taking a moral authority. She's actually teaching moral authority, taking a position of moral authority over her daughter. And she says, be very, very careful. You should not repeat this. Chakki starts the typical mother's reaction, and she is extremely nervous. She is not only angry, she is nervous, and she suspects that some sort of an attachment has developed here between Kartama and Parikutti. Okay. And she repeatedly asks her daughter confirmation as to she wants her daughter to give a negative answer. Are you attached to him? Are you attached to him? Okay. So what happened? Little boss was seated in a boat. So what's so funny about that? Kartama tries to explain to her mother that it was only a casual conversation. We just met, we spoke, and it was not a planned meeting. But the more she explains, Kartama tries to explain, the more she explains, the more her mother becomes angry. And she tells the story of, okay. So look at this. Chakki scrutinized Kartama from head to toe. And that too, like this. And remember, what happens is, like I told you, she's put under house arrest. It's a very sad thing that happens to a girl. Nobody should be put under house arrest. Literally, she's put under house arrest. She's not allowed to go outside. Okay. So Chakki says, you do not know about this. And I'll tell you the story. And then she tells the story of the So she says, now there is a legend among the fisher people that you should be thinking about when you are married. Once you are married, you should think only about your husband. Because when your husband goes to catch fish, okay, you should pray for your husband to come back safely. Okay, so the legend goes like this, that if you are not thinking about your husband may face a danger. Mark this story. This story will be repeated in the climax. The story goes like this, that any fisherwoman, okay, your wife, okay, should pray for her husband to think only about him. What for? That my husband has gone to the sea, he should come back safe. Should pray for the safe return. I just write it here. Return of her husband. If she is not thinking properly about her husband, or if she is not praying for him, her husband will face danger in the sea. So she should pray for the safe return of her husband. And not only safe return, he should come back with a good catch. So that is the legend of the fisherwoman. You should be like that. That is your ideal. You should be like this fisherwoman who will pray for the safe return of her husband. You should not be going around speaking to every third person like this. You should not be having casual conversations with a man. So this is her outlook, okay? And her chastity and her fidelity. By fidelity, we mean whether she is thinking only about her husband, okay? That is the entire thing. And sorry, I paused the recording. And this story is repeated or is narrated by her mother. This will be repeated once or twice during the narrative, and it will play a huge role in the climax, okay? So she's, okay? And she says, he continues the story. The husband was able to come back safely without any problem because his wife was constantly praying for him and constantly praying for his safety and constantly thinking of his safe return. And then what happens is, so then she says, you are no longer a little girl. You are now a fisherwoman. You are now an adult. So you are a woman. So please behave like that, okay? Karuthamma and Parikutti, they belong to two different religions. Karuthamma is a Hindu while Parikutti is a Muslim, which is how can you, how can you become close to a person who doesn't belong to your religion? So this is another issue. Karuthamma belongs to our, okay, and Parikutti is a Muslim, okay. So this okay, this thing is highlighted, and what happens is immediately what will the mother do? The mother discusses this with the father. See, the father is a very strange character. Actually, throughout the book, this thing is highlighted again and again and again, that he is obsessed about buying a boat. The only thing that he thinks about is, when can I buy a boat? When can I go and use that boat to catch fish? He's not an owner of a boat. He goes along with others, catches fish, and that is how his life is led. But he wants to become the owner of a boat. So he keeps on, his only concentration is to own a boat. Okay. So when Chakki tells, do we have time? Just 2 more minutes and then we would have completed chapter 1. Okay. So Chakki says, you are a father. It's better that we get Karuthamma married. Karuthamma should be married off, because today what happened today is something wrong. This should not be repeated. Very good. Money adicharthu, very good. So what she suggests is that she should be married off. Now the point is, Chemmangunji has saved up money for buying the boat. Will he think of using this money to get Karuthamma married? Well, I'll tell you how chapter 1 ends. Okay. Immediately she warns the father, look, Parikutti, I believe that Karuthamma has become attached to Parikutti. There is some sort of a liking that they have developed for each other. Don't forget that Parikutti belongs to another religion, and let us not embarrass ourselves by not marrying her off. So Karuthamma, the suggestion given by the end of chapter 1 is that Chakki wants Karuthamma to get married. She wants to marry off her daughter as soon as possible. We'll take this up again in the next video. We will see what happens, how Karuthamma reacts to this entire thing, Okay. So thanks a lot, people. We'll meet in the next video, in the next lecture.